Hi class, today is lesson 10-2. It's on area of triangles and trapezoids. Let's go ahead and record the purpose. Today's purpose is to find the area of triangles and trapezoids. I think you may be excited to know that for today as well, there are no new vocabulary terms. Surprise. Let's go ahead then and go to our first example. What we have here is a parallelogram. And what we've done is divide this into two congruent triangles. We're doing this in order to derive the formula for finding the area of a triangle. Taking a look at this parallelogram and dividing it where we did gives us these two separate triangles. But for the entire area of the parallelogram, we go back to the formula that we learned just the other day. Area equals base times height. Here's the base, here's the height. When you multiply those two measurements together, they give you the entire area for this entire parallelogram. But what would happen if we took one of these triangles away and just made it so that there was essentially one triangle that we wanted to find the area of? Well, we know that to start off with, we had a full parallelogram. It was area equals base times height. So it naturally follows that if we take half of that parallelogram away, our formula for this triangle is area equals half base times height. Another way of saying that is base times height over 2. Once again, if we have the entire parallelogram, it would be area equals base times height. When we take away a triangle and essentially take half of the area away, the formula becomes area equals half base times height, or base times height over 2. Let's go ahead and work through the area of this triangle. Here we have a triangle that has a height of 8 centimeters, and a length of 12 centimeters, or a base of 12 centimeters. We know that area equals base times height over 2, or half base times height. And then we just need to plug in the numbers. Area equals 12 times 8 over 2. Wish I could write a little more steadily here. It looks like a sinking ship. So I've got 12 times 8 over 2. Well, first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is multiply 12 times 8. 12 times 8 is 96. 96 over 2. What does that equal? Well, 2 goes into 9 4 times. 2 goes into 16 8 times. So we have 8 centimeters squared. That is the area of this triangle. Half base times height, or base times height over 2. Let's go to our next problem. And I'm hoping it's not going to be as slanted as what you see here. Example number 2, we also see a parallelogram. In this case, parallelogram equals base times height, of course, but in this case the base has been split into two separate measurements. So instead of just one base times height, it's this base, this length plus this length times the height. Okay? This length plus this length times the height. Area equals base, the sum of base, the first base and the second base times the height. Now on the top we have the same measurements, but they're inverted. When we draw this diagonal, we divide it into two trapezoids, and this measure is the same as this. This measure for B2 is the same as this measure. Again, for the entire parallelogram, its area equals the base, which is B1 plus B2, times the height, which is h. Now, if one of the trapezoids were to disappear, in other words, if we took away half of the area, then we're left with base times base 1, base 2, and the height. Now for a parallelogram, for the full parallelogram, when we had those two trapezoids out, it would have been this formula. But since now it's only half of that parallelogram, we're going to simply take half of the base 1 plus measurement of base 2 times the height. You'll see this most likely put in this order, however. It's half the height times the sum of B1 plus B2. Now that looks pretty complicated, but essentially we're taking a parallelogram, we're taking half the area of a parallelogram. Once again, that half shows up. Okay, another way to say it is height times base 1 plus base 2. Instead of multiplying by 1/2, we can divide by 2. Same thing. Let's go ahead and find the solution for this. If we write down area equals half the height times the sum of base 1 plus base 2, and then we go to this trapezoid and simply replace the variables with constants. We have area equals half times the height, which is 6, times B1 plus B2, and that's 4.3 plus 10.5. One half times 6 is 3. Then I take care of what's in the parentheses here. 4.3 and 10.5 gives me 14.8, which leads me to multiply 14.8 times 3. 14.8 times 3 wow, pretty cool. It's 44.4 meters squared. Again, this is area, so we have the label is always squared unit. In this case, meters squared. Checking my math, 3 times 8 is 24, 3 times 4 is 14. 3 times 1 plus 1, 44.4 meters squared. Lastly, we have to complete the problem. Here you need to find the area of a triangle, and I'm only going to give you the formula. Area of a triangle equals half what? Well, it's half the base times the height. So now it's your turn. We'll see you in class.